iPhone sales flagging. The smartphone market is oversaturated. MacBook sales down nearly 25%. What's that I hear? Scrambling out there in the space donut? Could this be the beginning of the end for Apple? The news just keeps getting worse for Apple. Last week, I put out a video chronicling the woes of the 2018 iPhones, suffering from poor sales, the XS and the XS Max not selling, the XR almost, it seems, a non-starter, but doing better than the XS. One piece of news I related in that video has kind of stuck with me over the weekend. Apple is reportedly going to restart production of the iPhone X. That's right. Last year's model, which was discontinued just a couple of months ago with the announcement of the 2018 phones, is now being resurrected. Possibly for select markets. We don't really know the plans yet. Some out there have poo-pooed this whole thing as Wall Street doling out false info to artificially manipulate Apple's stock price. That has been known to happen in years past, but I don't recall a time when Apple actually brought back a model they had only discontinued 2 months before. If the iPhone X is coming back, even if it's just for select markets, it tells us a lot about how well the sales of their new phones are going, and there's only one way to read it: not well. None of this has anything to do with the quality of the phones. I really like these phones. You can look toward the pricing of the new phones as one factor that might have contributed to this shortfall, but we should also consider that this year's iPhone offered little in the way of new features. For those who bought the iPhone X or 8 or 8 Plus last year, most of them seem to be sitting this model year out, and I can't really say that I blame them. Many of you are now saying, but this is an S year. This always happens, but it's not really an S year. If Apple offered a spec bump to existing phones, it would be an S year. But Apple introduced 2 entirely new models this year, and apparently not enough people want them. And yes, I know there are some out there saying that these phones, particularly the XR, will be a slow burn seller throughout the year and may eventually overtake the more expensive phones. But at this point, multiple reports have the XR outselling the XS already, and neither one of the phones are selling as expected. Apple may also be the victim of their own success. They have made good phones with long lifespans, and the recent iOS 12 update has brought better performance to the older models. That may have some consumers thinking hard before dropping $1,000 or $1,200 or whatever on a new iPhone. And the smartphone market itself is changing. The years of improvements year over year are gone. The market is saturated with good phones, some of them costing half of what a new iPhone costs. The consumer has many, many more solid choices, and perhaps the shine of a new iPhone has worn off a little bit when quality can be had for less. But if the iPhone X comes back, where will it sit in the product line? The highest configuration of the XR costs $900. But let's say that the sweet spot for the XR is 128 gigabytes at $799. The base iPhone XS starts at $999. So does the X slot in between at $900? There it's going to cross streams with the XS. The truth is, if there's a cheaper X available, no one will buy the XS. If the X is competitively priced with the iPhone XR, no one's going to buy the XR. One thing, my friends, is clear. If these reports are accurate, and it seems like they might be given their ubiquity, reintroducing the X into the iPhone lineup is Apple waving the white flag and going into disaster mode. If they need last year's discontinued phone to save their bacon, then they really screwed up with this year's phones. Whether it's the price, the lack of real innovation, or a saturated, tired iPhone market overall, we have to ask ourselves, what does it mean for the future of the iPhone? What does it mean for the future of Apple? They've built their entire business, their entire company at this point, on the sales of their mobile phones. iPhone was the sure thing. It never loses. But now we see them for the first time backpedaling and making moves that I can only call desperate to try and turn the ship in the right direction. And that's not the only bad news for Apple. 9to5Mac reported that Apple's laptop sales crashed in the third quarter of 2018, dropping by nearly 25%. And they are now in 5th place globally in laptop sales, where they previously held the 4th spot. This was a quarter where Apple updated the MacBook Pro line. But again, possible contributing factors could be the price of those MacBook Pros and the potential that people were waiting for the new MacBook Air released just weeks ago. The MacBooks have also had their share of problems with overheating in some models, faulty keyboards in almost all the models. Plus, the prices have risen precipitously in the past couple of years, while the overall quality in terms of experience and reliability has gone down. There have been many times in the past when Apple seemed poised for a breakdown, but they always pulled through. Maybe that's going to happen this year. It's hard to really say at this point, but as of now, they have their cards on the table. No more new stuff coming out, and the hand they dealt themselves seems more shaky than it has since Steve Jobs left the first time. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Do you think Apple's in trouble? Do you think this whole shebang is about to go shaboom? It's something that's very interesting to me, seeing what Apple is doing. Not what they're saying, but what they're doing. If you're interested in the articles that I use to help put this all together, I'm going to leave them linked in the description below so you can read for yourselves. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If this was your first time here, please hit that like button. Please hit the subscribe button. Bell notify yourself. Share this out on your social medias with the people you love, or at least the people you like. My name is Jason, sometimes known as the JTL. This is Painfully Honest Tech. Tech! So honest it hurts. Until the next time, I'm out!